Now let us move to question number 14. Under the Structural Adjustment Program policy towards social sectors like health and education, since the early 1990s, the Indian government started shrinking in financial responsibility. So what could be the starting fragment? All of the fragments except the fragment C are clearly continuation of previous fragments and this cannot be the first fragment. Only fragment C fits in well here. D and B form a mandatory pair as both talk about what the government did. So by now we have C as the first statement and D, B as the mandatory pair. Only A is left and it fits in after C. So the sequence will be in such a manner: C followed by A and then by D and finally by B. So the sequence should be C, A, D, B. That is option C would be the answer. Now let us move to question number 15. The existing and future water emergency, the Cape Town crisis should be a wake-up call to India about that many parts of the country do and will face. So what could be the starting fragment? So fragment C and D can be easily eliminated as both are clearly a continuation of previous fragments. Fragment A, if taken as the first fragment, does not form a meaningful statement. Only B can be the first fragment. Hence, if you see the option D, that is B followed by C and then by A and finally by D, will be the correct formation as far as the sequence is concerned. Now let us move to question number 16. As a global power, unless threatened security in its own backyard, India cannot emerge. It controls developments that. So what could be the starting fragment? So fragment A, D and B can be easily eliminated as all are clearly a continuation of previous fragments. Only C can be the first fragment. So it should be in the form as C followed by A, then by D and finally by B. So option C would be the right answer. Now let us move to question number 17. Its labor policies in Parliament, trade unions, given the government's obduracy in refusing to debate the people and reiterate the importance of collective bargaining, have no option but to take their cost too. So in this question, so if you see the starting fragment, fragment A starts with it's indicating the presence of a prior fragment. Fragment D starts with have and can easily be eliminated. Fragment C also does not make a meaningful statement if taken as the first fragment. Only B can be the first fragment. B and A states what the government is refusing to do. Given the government's obduracy in refusing to debate its labor policies in Parliament, trade unions, that is A, and then followed by have no option but to take their cost to the people and reiterate the importance of collective bargaining. So the right option would be C, that is B followed by A, then by D and finally by C. Now let us move to question number 18. If the finance minister had chosen to provide for the spending needed to render decisions like a hiked MSP and a huge healthcare plan feasible, he would have had to show a substantially higher fiscal deficit. So in this, we can see that all the fragments are arranged correctly and needs no correction. Hence, we can see that the entire statement is in a proper form and conveys a proper meaning, and hence E, that is no rearrangement required will be the right option. Now let us move to question number 19. Capital and ultimately damage the economy and trigger an outflow of would adversely affect investors' sentiment. Any significant deviation from deficit targets. So, fragment C and B can be easily eliminated as they start with would and respectively and cannot serve as the first fragment. Fragment A has the words capital and B, which indicates the presence of another point before it and hence cannot serve as the first fragment. Only D fits in as the first fragment. Hence, the options would be D followed by C, so that the correct option will be D, C, B and A. D followed by C, then by B and finally by A. So now let us move to question number 20. For some time, but is no substitute for real measures that make hyperbole can help conceal a reality, a difference to the common voter. So here if we see, only C fits in as the first fragment. A and B starts with for and cannot be the first statement. Fragment D does not make a meaningful statement if put in the first place. Hence, option A, that is C followed by A, then by B and finally D would be the right option. CABD will be the sequence.